Hey YouTube, we're actually gonna need to punch out for this. You ever see me do this thing where I take a card and then I just flick it to the other hand? Like that. Doesn't seem like a big thing, but this has been my bread and butter on Instagram for a really long time. I know, I just got done doing a video talking about the elements of style, and with a very hoity-toity philosophy, I told you that you should hide your skill as often as possible. And then I realized I spent the past 7 years on Instagram doing the exact opposite. Yes, of course, in live performance, it's probably better to hide your skill as often as possible, so that way it doesn't become the reason for the magic. But when you're on social media, the attention span on social media tends to be shorter, right? There's constant content being produced. And in order to get attention, usually the only way that you can do it is by doing something highly visual and highly technical. Like, say, taking a card and flicking it and catching it without even looking. I actually learned this card flicking move from a card manipulator who was part of the junior program at the Magic Castle when I was there. This story is going to age me significantly, but bear with me. We were both really young, it was the late 90s, and the deep concepts of card magic were still around, but people were really starting to experiment with things that didn't involve the entire deck. Paul Harris was tearing up cards just to link them, Guy Hollingworth was tearing up cards just to piece them back together again, and Gregory Wilson was doing card stunts with things flying everywhere. When I got into the castle, I did it using a Twisting the Aces routine created by a guy named Max Howard. It's one of the most beautiful Twisting the Aces routines I've ever seen. But I kicked it off by doing this move, which is just a one-handed deal, right? You're letting your thumb kick the card off the deck, but it turns out if you just turn your hand, it sends it straight up and you can catch it. And it worked. I got in, and I got to be part of that program when a bunch of really cool people were there. Danny Cole, who became like our mainstay, right? He was the goal. He was the stage magician extraordinaire, and he was the next in line. Jason Latimer got in right around the same time. He went on to win FISM back in 2003, the Grand Prix title. He's one of only 4 Americans to ever do that. And one of my personal favorites, Taylor Hughes, who is a podcaster, performer extraordinaire, and just a really solid dude. Now you gotta remember, this is late 90s, so this is pre-cardistry. So if you were doing anything fancy with cards, we inherently categorized it under card manipulation. And one of the kids who was part of the program with me was a specialist, right? That was the thing that he was known for. When he got into the castle, he got in by going on stage and doing an entire routine with only 2 cards. That was it. Verifiable badass. Now, when he first taught me this move, it was not an effect, it was an add-on. It was just meant to show how well he could handle the cards without having to think about it, which was the style for card manipulators back then. So, he would take a single card, display it to one side of the audience, and then instead of just handing it off to show it to the other side, he would add a little spice, right? He would show it, and then he would flick it straight across and show it to the other side, and it was just cool. But knowing me, I couldn't leave well enough alone. And it was the summer, and I was bored, and I had to find a way to do this in a really cool fashion and make it part of some magical effect. So I'm gonna teach you how to do this. All you need to do is take the card and hold it about 1 centimeter above the corner. And then you're just going to bury your middle finger into your thumb like you're getting ready to flick your kid brother to annoy him. And then all that's going to happen is you're going to peel back your first finger, so you're holding it by just the tip against your thumb. And then as you go to flick, you release your first finger at the same time, and it takes a little bit to get the rotation. A lot of people, when they do this, they try to flick it up and it causes the card to just flutter. But you want to do this by pulling it back into your thumb, so that way when you flick, your nail is perpendicular to the edge of the card and it causes it to rotate super fast. And when you do that, that happens. This will take a while, but once you do this, now you can turn it into something magical. Let me show you how. You're going to do a trick based on friendship. So you have 2 friends select 2 separate cards. We'll call it these 2. What do we got? We've got the 10 of spades and the 5 of diamonds. And you say, friendships are really strong. It's why you're able to find each other in a crowd. It's because you've come to know each other so well. So the same thing will happen with your cards. We're going to take one of the cards and we're going to mix it into the deck. Just give it an overhand shuffle, maybe a couple. So no one really knows where that card is. And then we're going to take this card and it's going to fly up into the air and find the other card. Just like that. And it lands in the deck. But it lands at a very particular position. If I go through here and I pull out where the card landed, it's right next to the other chosen card. This entire routine has 3 moves total. The first is an overhand shuffle control. So we'll go over the moves and then I'll show you how to do the routine. So when you go to do an overhand shuffle, if I wanted to control the top of the deck, all I would have to do is when I get ready to peel cards off the face of the deck, I'm just going to peel one card off the back of the deck as I do so. So I lift, but I'm peeling that top card back on top. And you can do this as many times as you want, and it doesn't move that top card. Literally one of the best controls ever invented. It's in the very beginning of Royal Road to Card Magic, specifically for that reason, because it's weirdly effective. The next, you gotta be able to learn to control this bad boy. You gotta learn to know where it's going to land, and this does take practice, but the goal is that you could fire it off and not have to move this hand very much in order to catch it. And then the final thing is literally a Charlier cut. It's literally just a one-handed cut that you leave open, like a gaping mouth, so that way, when you go to catch the card, instead of catching it with your hand, you're catching it with the deck. Put all those ingredients together and you get one spicy little routine that you can use for restaurant magic, for walk around, for close-up. Just do me a favor, don't try to do it outdoors on a windy day. It makes the flight a little unpredictable. Now you could probably reverse engineer all of this, but we're gonna review it anyway. 2 cards are selected, we'll call it these 2. And we've got the 2 of diamonds and the 2 of clubs. We'll set the 2 of diamonds to the side. The 2 of clubs goes on top of the deck. We're going to shuffle it in, but we're doing that overhand shuffle control that keeps that top card from going anywhere, so it's ready on top of the deck. Now, here's the subtlety. This is the card that's going to be flicked. I'm going to face it out toward the audience, so that way when I rotate my hand and get ready to flick it, when it goes up and it lands in the deck, it will land in the opposite orientation of whatever these guys are at. And when I go to extend my hand to get ready to flick this card, that's when I go to do that half Charlier. And it's a very special hold because it keeps the cards from moving everywhere. I allow half the deck to fall. I let that other half rest on top of my first finger knuckle, and then I squeeze in so that these cards aren't going anywhere. And I do that specifically so I can move my hand to catch the card wherever it might be going, just in case it flicks in a weird direction, and I don't have to worry about the rest of the cards flying off with it. I move, I do that half Charlier down here. As I look over here, I flick that card and I have it land in the deck. And the nice part about having it land in the opposite orientation is that if for some reason it lands perfectly in the deck, you can still find the card. So then I go, I show this, and then I go to display where it has landed, and it's right next to the other 2. So yeah, this is one of those fun little flourishes that I've picked up over the years that's been a lot of fun to utilize. I hope you guys enjoy it too. And you can play it up or play it down however much you want. It could either just be a simple little flourish, or you can make it part of a really cool magical effect where people enjoy the process as much as they enjoy the ending. Anyway, wait, hold on. Wait, we gotta, yeah, better, okay. In the meantime, I'll see you guys soon.